Try Jesus, not me. 'Cause I throw hands. Try Jesus, please don't try me. Because I fight. I know what he said about getting slapped. But if you touch me or mine, we gon' have to scrap. So, try Jesus, please don't try me. Because I fight. I have no problem laying these hands.
Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. What is up, y'all? Cat Ninja. Claire, Texas, motherfucking Jen. Shiloh Mania. What is up? All of my peoples. I just had to share that with y'all. I'm not gonna share any more of that. I got to get my life together. We got the 48 laws of power coming through with law 23. Is everybody ready for law 23 yet? I really not. You need Jesus. Yeah, I mean, you do. I do. But try Jesus, not me. Because I throw hands like it's meant to be. So, we are getting very close to the halfway point of the 48 laws of power. We are on law 23. Concentrate your forces. That being said, I have given my forces open invite to come concentrate with me. 357 beats 357 sig beats 9mm. We're still gonna always disagree about that. But I'm really glad you're in the mix. I did not know that this was 50 Cent's favorite book. However, that being said, it makes very perfect sense that 50 Cent would appreciate the 48 Laws of Power just based on the nature of what they are. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I went and did a little reading ahead of time. 48 Laws of Power. Law 23, extremely very short and to the point. So let's jump in. Y'all ready? Let's fucking go. Law 23. Concentrate your forces. Judgment. Conserve your forces and energies by keeping them concentrated at their strongest point. You gain more by finding a rich mine and mining it deeper than by flitting from one shallow mind to another. Intensity defeats extensity every time. When looking for sources of power to elevate you, find the one key patron, the fat cow who will give you milk for a long time to come. That's a whole bold ass statement. A whole situational like regard because you want to find all your riches in one spot. That's your concentration of source. And you want to draw all your forces to This 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 power of the one fat cow that will give you milk forever. Or for a long time to come anyway. There's a whole lot to unpack here. I hope y'all are fucking ready. Transgression of the law. In China, in the early 6th century BC, the kingdom of Wu began a war with the neighboring northern provinces of the Middle Kingdom. Wu was a growing power, but it lacked the great history and civilization of the Middle Kingdom. For centuries, the center of Chinese culture. By defeating the Middle Kingdom, the kingdom of Wu would instantly raise its status. The war began with great fanfare and several victories, but soon bogged down. A victory on one front would leave the Wu armies vulnerable on another. The king's chief minister and advisor, Wu Shu, warned him that the barbarous state of Yuri to the south was beginning to notice the kingdom of Wu's problems and had designs to invade. The king only laughed at such worries. One more big victory and the great Middle Kingdom would be his. Well, that's actually very bold and disrespectful. Hey, Ghost Tree. Good to see you in the mix. First shot. Uh, there's no Harry Potters here, so we're gonna have to do this shit the old-fashioned way. I'm really happy to see how many people have just like come across to ask a whole bunch of these questions. Should I read the punch-in of the goose in the house? A goose was plucking grass upon a common thought that herself affronted by a horse who fed near her, and, in hissing accents, thus addressed him. I am certainly a more noble and perfect animal than you, for the whole range and extent of your faculties is confined to one element. I can walk upon the ground as well as you. I have, besides, wings with which I can raise myself in the air, and when I please, I can sport on ponds and lakes and refresh myself in the cool waters. I enjoy the different powers of a bird, a fish, and a quadruped. The horse, snorting somewhat disdainfully, replied, It is true you inhabit three elements, but you make no very distinguished figure in any of them. You fly indeed, but your flight is so heavy and clumsy that you have no right to put yourself on a level with the lark or the swallow. You can swim on the surface of the waters, but you cannot live in them as fish do. You cannot find your food in that element, nor glide smoothly along the bottom of the waves. And when you walk, or rather waddle, upon the ground, with your broad feet and your long neck stretched out, hissing at everyone who passes by, you bring upon yourself the derision of all beholders. I confess that I am only formed to move upon the ground, but how graceful is my make, how well turned my lungs, how highly finished my whole body, how great my strength, how astonishing my speed. I had much rather be confined to one element and be admired in that than be a goose at all. Fables from Boccaccio and Chaucer, Dr. John Aiken, 1747, 1822. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is actually a true statement. And I mean, there's more than one. I probably should have had the free download of the book in the description from the very beginning. However, I put the book on screen. And if you do, like, close the chat down for a second and, like, if you really want to look at it, it'd be better that way. Hold on, let me, like, put the whole shit as the main screen. Hey, Bijou. Welcome to the mix. We're concentrating forces, so stick with us. Band together, everyone. In the year 490, Wu Shu sent his son away to safety in the kingdom Qi. In doing so, he sent the king a signal that he disapproved of the war, and that he believed the king's selfish ambition was leading Wu to ruin. The king, sensing betrayal, lashed out at his minister, accusing him of a lack of loyalty, and, in a fit of anger, ordered him to kill himself. Oh shit. That seems like a lot. Do we want to order our king to kill himself in this spot? I feel like this is a bit of an overreach. A bit of an asking too much. Wu Shu obeyed his king, but before he plunged the knife into his chest, he cried, "Tear out my eyes, O king, and fix them on the gate of Wu, so that I may see the triumphant entry of you." As Wu Shu had predicted, within a few years, a Yu army passed beneath the gate of Wu, As the barbarians surrounded the place, the king remembered his minister's last words and felt the dead man's disembodied eyes watching his disgrace. Unable to bear his shame, the king killed himself, covering his face so that he would not have to meet the reproachful gaze of his minister in the next world. Okay, so this is, so far as I can ascertain, what actually just happened in this story. The king of Wu didn't listen to his minister, and he got fucked. But that was only after he commanded his own minister to kill himself. And had he been a little bit more discerning with like his strategy, he probably would not have been in that scenario. That's kind of gross for both of them because they both had to suffer a really nasty fate that was essentially unnecessary if they had been more strategically minded and less traditional minded. Anyway, hold on. Before we continue, I do kind of got to put something together. Uh, I don't know if y'all know about the tradition around here, but we do have a bit of a tradition around here. And the fact of the matter is, it's 420 somewhere. Every time it's 20 after somewhere. So it's probably best if everybody just like gets ready to smoke them if you got them. Because I'm probably not going to continue until we smoke them as we got them. Cheers. Happy 20, y'all. Okay, I gotta get back to this story, don't I? As Wu Xiu had predicted, within a few years the Yu army passed beneath the gate of Wu. As the barbarians surrounded the palace, the king remembered his minister's last words, and he felt the dead man's disembodied eyes watching him, watching him in disgrace. Unable to bear his shame, the king killed himself, covering his face so that he would not have to meet the reproachful gaze of his minister in the next world. Interpretation. The story of Wu is a paradigm of all the empires that have come to ruin by overreaching. And unlike most case scenarios, in real time today, we don't have to worry about overreaching and or underreaching because we're not going to empirical war. However, we do have to consider these things because there comes a point where even what we reach in our own regard is under or overreaching. Drunk with success and sick with ambition, such empires expand to grotesque proportions and meet a ruin that is total. They just grow too big too fast. This is what happened to ancient Athens which lusted for the faraway island of Sicily and ended up losing its empire. The Romans stretched the boundaries of their empire to encompass vast territories. In doing so, they increased their vulnerability and chances of invasion from yet another barbarian tribe. Their useless expansion, and I mean useless, for a reason. Robert Greene means useless for a reason. Oh, is my microphone all messed up? Like, I can try to restart it. I don't usually have these issues. It might be my voice. Like, trying to smoke all the weed and still continue doing this stream. Like, that might be just breaking me up. Beg pardon if that's the case. Okay, well, there was a little crackle. Or there is. Like, I can attempt to repair it if it's a problem right now. Okay, so I reset it all. I don't know if it's any better. I hope it is. Okay, so it was that bad. Great. Let's continue, shall we? For the Chinese, the fate of the Kingdom of Wu serves as an elemental lesson on what happens when you dissipate your forces on several fronts. Losing sight of distant dangers for the sake of present gain. If you are not in danger, says Sun Tzu, do not fight. It is almost a physical law. What is bloated beyond its proportions inevitably collapses. The mind must not wander from goal to goal, or be distracted by success from its sense of purpose and proportion. What is concentrated, coherent, and connected to its past has power. What is dissipated, divided, and distended rots and falls to the ground. The bigger it bloats, the harder it falls. And oh shit, I didn't even add that to the stage. So I didn't even actually get to cash that one in. But the point of the matter remains the same. Like, if you grow beyond your limitations and what you can defend, you're going to lose what you have. and that's end of discussion. That's it. That's the easiest like point of recognition is if you have to fight for a thing, you you're gonna be caught up in that scenario. Keep your power close to you and take only what you can defend if you're going to fight. And make sure that when other people come looking to take your power from you, you only cover what you can defend. Otherwise, you will lose everything you have. That is the comeuppance right here. Observance of the law. The Rothschilds banking family had humble beginnings in the Jewish ghetto of Frankfurt, Germany. Oh shit. We're talking about the Rothschilds, the Jewish ghettos in Germany. Like, oh, don't get me banned, please. That's all I'm going to ask you, Robert Greene, with your quintessential writings, is please don't get me banned. The city's harsh laws made it impossible for Jews to mingle outside the ghetto, but the Jews had turned this into a virtue. Oh my, that's a lot. There is not much I find worth fighting for. I am not about to take the challenge from anything unworthy, too much to lose, and I work too hard for it. I mean, that is why I say consolidate your forces and defend what is actually yours. That is, in a nutshell, the whole reason why this law is applicable today. But the Jews had turned this into a virtue. It made them self reliant and zealous to preserve their culture at all costs. Meyer Amschel, the first of the Rothschilds to accumulate wealth by lending money in the late 18th century, well understood the power that comes from this kind of concentration and cohesion. And this is literally like the being isolated becoming a virtue. First, Meyer Amschel allied himself with one family, the powerful princes of Thurn und Taxis. Instead of spreading his services out, he made himself these princes' primary banker. Second, he entrusted none of his business to outsiders. Uh, fuck with the outsiders, please. We could use your business. Using only his children and close relatives, so this is nepotism at its finest. And we gotta actually like embrace this nepotism in concentrating our forces. Like when I say keep those closest to you closest, like that is really what he means here. The more unified and tight knit the family, the more powerful it would become. Soon Meyer Amschel's 5 sons were running the business, and when Meyer Amschel lay dying in 1812, he refused to name a principal heir, instead setting up all of his sons to continue the family tradition so that they would stay united and would resist the dangers of diffusion and of infiltration by outsiders. So he didn't want any lawyers basically getting into the mix and disrupting what he had actually prepared. Yeah, this is 100% nepotism right here. Like this is like the family business, and we're gonna make sure that the family stays in business. This is the Rothschilds, mind you. This is like pinnacle nepotism. There is a case here that's never to be made for another family. Maybe the Rockefellers, but not in modern culture, not in another 150 years will a case for nepotism be made better than this one, except for maybe the Rockefellers, allegedly. But that was back when powerful families still had like piles of kids. Now, powerful people don't have kids at all. Look at Bill Gates, look at Jeff Bezos, look at Elon Musk. Look at how many kids exist between that group of extremely powerful people. It's kind of a problem. First, okay, I've done that one right. Beware of dissipating your powers. Strive constantly to concentrate them. Genius thinks it can do whatever it sees others doing, but it is sure to repent of every ill-judged outlay. Johann von Goethe. Okay, drawing that one in for, I mean, all people of descendants love nepotism. It, if you, oh, I like the fact that you recognize this. That makes this easier for me. I mean, I'm not a Gote go-to specifically. Like, there's a whole lot. Like, Gracienne is probably the guy most quoted in this book. That is actually my go-to for uh quoting. I'm gonna have to do a whole nother series after I'm done with the 48 Laws of Power about Balthasar Gracienne. But Robert Greene has some amazingly great references in this fucking book. Oh, this is what I want to talk to you about my idea on stoic full. You want to talk stoicism with me, Claire? I mean, I am a Machiavellian. I'm also an Aurelian, like, philosophy student. So I can do pragmatism and I can do stoicism in equal turn because in order to do pragmatism, you have to actually kind of be able to do stoicism because you have to understand that there's a whole bunch of bullshit that you just can't fix, and you just have to like work within that system. So yes, I'm down. I'm down. Uh, I don't know if you Discord. I don't know if you Twitter. I do know that Mousy and Bijou and Cat Ninja all know how to find me on all the platforms I can be found on. So it really does behoove me to. Okay, I mean, I'm not gonna post them publicly just because I don't really want anyone to just like find me. Like, I'm easy to find on all the platforms. Darth Hideous everywhere. Discord, Darth the Hideous on Twitter, or X or Twix or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Like, I'm not hard to find there. Like, super easy. And it doesn't really matter to like if I fucking post my shit out there, but I have been like friended by some weirdos in the past, so it is what it is. I want to talk to Darth about my business plan of selling jacketed potatoes out of food truck. I mean, you're gonna have to talk to the Department of Health and Human Services and the Food and Drug Administration, and I mean, there's like a billion departments of government you got to talk to before you talk to me about that. For sure. That's always dropping my favorite words. Nobody says behooves. Yeah, I mean behooves is behoove. Yeah, I mean Darth Hideous is my Sith Lord title, sir. There is a real name behind it, but it's a title. Mm. Small Boston. Good to see you in the mix. Hold on, I'm getting lost in the chat now, doing too much. Uh, I gotta talk about Mayor Amschel. Once Mayor Amschel's sons controlled the family business, they decided that the key to wealth on a larger scale was to secure a foothold in the finances of Europe as a whole rather than being tied to any one country or prince. So they're immediately, I mean, this is the transgression of the law, right? No, this is the observance of the law. But of the five brothers, Nathan had already opened up a shop in London in 1813. James moved to Paris. Amschel remained in Frankfurt. Solomon established himself in Vienna, and Karl, the youngest son, went to Naples. With each sphere of influence covered, they could tighten their hold on Europe's financial markets. Okay, so they're spreading out here to draw the power inward based on reliance on each other. They're spreading, but they're actually consolidating because they're expanding their influence and then they're bringing it back into the whole, is what I see in this mix. The word behoove tends you to behoove you into paying it. I mean, allow me to manipulate. I mean, I'm learning the laws of power and I'm trying to use all of them while I'm delivering. This widespread network, of course, opened the Rothschilds to the very danger of which their father had warned them: diffusion, division, dissension. And for anybody who knows where the Rothschilds are at today, They transcended all of this. They avoided this danger and established themselves as the most powerful force in European finance and politics by once again resorting to the strategy of the ghetto, excluding outsiders, concentrating their forces. The Rothschilds had established the fastest courier system in Europe, allowing them to get news of events before all their competitors. They held a virtual monopoly on information, and that right there is an A1 day one statement. I may or may not have got it. I cannot confirm at this time. I will go look in a second. Frogget in the mix. Thanks for your backing, my dude. I hope you got what I sent you earlier. We're gonna see if the world explodes tomorrow. Uh, my fingers are doing the tingles, and no, sir, don't let. Get up, stand up, come on, throw your hands up. If you got circulation, try to touch the nation, or at least try to touch your face and some shit. I mean, don't touch some shit. Just touch your face. Oh, we're gonna do this. We are gonna do this. Let's go. And their internal communications and correspondence were written in Frankfurt Yiddish and in a code that only the brothers could decipher. There was no point in stealing this information. No one could understand it. Even the shrewdest bankers cannot find their way through the Rothschilds' maze, admitted a financier who had tried to infiltrate the clan. In 1824, James Rothschild decided it was time to get married. This presented a problem for the Rothschilds since it meant incorporating an outsider into the Rothschild clan, an outsider who could betray its secrets. And this is why these scumbags have actually just like maintained a banking monopoly in uh, oligarchy for hundreds of years. And we are here hundreds of years later, and they're still like, this is 1824. They're still extremely relevant today. James therefore decided to marry within the family. Incest, I said it, and chose the daughter of his brother Solomon. Dope. I mean, I mean, the we're not. I mean, I hate to say this because this is my closest Jewish affiliate, the Sweet Charlemagne. And I don't think she's affiliated with any of the Rothschilds, but this is some Jewish inbreeding, right? Like this is bad, right? The brothers were ecstatic. This was the perfect solution to their marriage problems. James' choice now became the family policy. Okay, so this went from really bad to a shitload worse. These people are literally like choosing inbreeding as a way of life. 2 years later, Nathan married off his daughter to Solomon's son. In the years to come, the five brothers arranged 18 matches among their children. Fuck out of here. This is the Rothschilds. This is the largest, most influential banking family in Europe. They are the equivalent to what the Rockefellers are in the United States. They're extremely powerful. Even today, these inbred sons of bitches still just like reign supreme with a total control over the monopoly of money. It's this is not like I mean this is the Rothschilds banking family. Like how do you not know who these people are? I mean, you don't know them personally, but you know who they are. You have to fucking know who they are. Jacob Rothschild is the one that I can think of in most current memory that is just yeah, they look a bit sickly. They are disgusting. Like this is like a whole fucking they're a whole weirdo syndicate and they're Frankfurt Jews. Uh, this is the notice thing. 16 of these, I mean, 2 years later, Nathan married off his daughter to Solomon's son. In the years to come, the five brothers arranged 18 matches among their children, 16 of these being contracted between first cousins. We are like the mechanism of a watch. Each part is essential, said Brother Solomon. As in a watch, every part of the business moved in concert with every other, and the inner workings were invisible to the world. This is just like a whole fucking problem for them, isn't it? I mean, you say this, but in legacy, as far as I know from recorded history, like the British Empire had control over the territory that is now called Israel, and a little bit more than that. And they gave up a bit to establish the nation of Israel. Like that could be a whole fucking gaslighting operation. But I'm pretty sure the British Empire had significant influence in the region at the time that Israel was established. That's a whole nother fucking ball game and a whole nother fucking story. Mm. I mean, do you mean the Elvis song in the ghetto? Because I know a few songs from the ghetto that are just like a whole hell of a lot more poignant in this fucking scenario. Yeah, the British Empire had a lot to do with Israel. And I'm pretty sure that they didn't have to buy influence in the region at the time. They sacrificed influence in the region at the time to establish the nation of Israel. Like, that's how it was sold to me. I'm not saying that that's historically accurate because all of these people I have come to learn are all fucking liars. No, the U.S. didn't. I'm not saying the U.S. did. The British Empire. That's what I said. The British fucking Empire had to do with it, and yeah, we're not actually like coming to terms with any of that. We backed the British Empire though at the time. Like we were allies, hardcore. There's a whole lot. There's a whole lot to discuss there. We I gotta get back. I gotta get back to the primitive. As in a watch, every part of the business moved in concert with every other, and the inner workings were invisible to the world, which only saw the movement of the hands, while other rich and powerful families suffered irrevocable downturns during the tumultuous first half of the 19th century. The tight-knit Rothschilds managed not only to preserve but to expand their unprecedented wealth. So while the rich got poorer, these assholes just kept getting richer. Like, unfortunately so. I'm kind of interested in the interpretation to see what Robert Greene has to say about all of this because uh, the Rothschilds are amongst my least favorite people in history. They're right up there with like Woodrow Wilson and Abraham Lincoln and other people who fucked up civilized society to a point where it's no longer recognizable as redeemable. And we can make a lot of cases. Like Ronald Reagan was even on that boat. I don't want anyone to ever think like any of these people that they thought were fucking superheroes were actually so because all these government officials were shit shows, every single one of them. They just had good publicists, better publicists than you'll ever have, better publicists than I'll ever have. Not like M&M's and Santa exist. What actually exists? I'm curious as to what the fuck you're referencing here because I'm a little bit lost in the conversation. Let's get into the interpretation. The Rothschilds were born in strange times. They came from a place that had not changed in centuries, but lived in an age that gave birth to the Industrial Revolution, the French Revolution, and an endless series of upheavals. So they literally transcended a whole bunch of ages. The Rothschilds kept the past alive, resisted the patterns of dispersion of their era, and for this are emblematic of the law of concentration. They're also an inbred series of shit shows, so they're literally not the fucking groundwork you want to build your empire on. And that'll be the first fucking thing I say about this law is you don't want to take this model and follow it. That's really fucking stupid. And they've proven as we stand today why this is a bad model to follow. Like uh I mean, if you have the kind of power they have, it's probably not a bad model to follow for you. It's bad for society. And most of us don't have this type of power, influence, and sustainability. So it's really best for all of us that this type of shit just get bred out of the works and don't get brought back into society because we don't need this type of despotic nepotism fucking over everyone in hopes of maintaining its own power. This is just really bad for humanity as a whole. Let's continue, shall we? No one represents this better than James Rothschild, who the son who established himself in Paris. In his lifetime, James witnessed the defeat of Napoleon, the restoration of the Bourbon monarchy. Bourbon is from Kentucky, so I don't even want to talk about this. The bourgeoisie monarchy of Orleans, the return to a republic, and finally the enthronement of Napoleon III. French styles and fashions changed at a relentless pace during all this turmoil. Without appearing to be a relic of the past, James steered his family as if the ghetto lived on within them. He kept alive his clan's inner cohesion and strength. Only through such an anchoring in the past was a family able to thrive amidst such chaos. Concentration was the foundation of the Rothschilds' power, wealth, and stability. They just kept everything as close to home as they fucking could. And that's why they were cousin marriers and inbred fucks. They just wanted to keep their money very close to all their other money. And that was problematic. I mean, there's a whole shitload of reasons why that's problematic. We're finding that out today, but who knows? This may be the stream that gets me taken down for saying all the things. The best strategy is to be very strong first in general. Then, at the decisive point, there is no higher and simpler law of strategy than that of keeping one's forces concentrated. In short, the first principle is act with the utmost concentration. On War, Karl von Clausewitz, 1780 to 1831. Okay, so the keys to power. Keys to power, y'all. Like, I mean, unless y'all still have something to say about the observance of the law, but like, this inbred fuckery is not something I want to speak too much more on, unless someone has some great insight into the Rothschild banking family. But I still feel like we're still discovering their secrets even right now today. So to have a great insight into them would probably be to not be alive today. So let's just get to the keys to power and not touch too much on that. The world is plagued by greater and greater division within countries, political groups, families, even individuals. We are all in a state of total distraction and diffusion, hardly able to keep our minds in one direction before we are pulled in 1,000 others. The modern world's level of conflict is higher than ever, and we have internalized it in our own lives. And holy shit, does that resonate in all the different, like, sub conflicts of society that we live in, whether you're Ukraine or Russia, whether you're Israel or Palestine, whether you're Trump or Biden. Like, just all the little subtle divisionism keeps people from being able to concentrate their forces on shit that really matters. Like, whether you're freedom or authoritarianism, they're still just trying to, like, make sure you focus on everything other than that which is important. And that's why you can't concentrate your forces. This is by design that you are being held away from having any force, having any power. They want to keep you fighting, like, they want to keep me fighting against Shilomania, my good friend, because She's a Jew, and I don't like what I see the Jews doing, even though she's not responsible for that. We're doing a whole bunch of shit I don't like seeing us do either. So I would like to unite against that, but you're not allowed to unite. That's why, like, divisionism is being sown at such a record level. And this is why concentrating your forces is. I mean, I'm not going to say this is the most important law in power right now, but this is a very important law of power at the moment to keep ourselves in the game. We must concentrate our forces. Yeah, there are a lot of Jews. I don't really hate most of them. I don't really hate any of them. I hate people for what they do. I don't hate them for what they are. If you represent something that I don't represent, like I'll disagree with you. I still don't have to hate you. Like it's very, very hard for me to find hate in my heart for anyone at all. So the solution is a form of retreat inside ourselves to the past, to a more concentrated forms of thought and action. As Schopenhauer wrote, intellect is a magnitude of intensity, not a magnitude of extensity. Napoleon knew the value of concentrating your forces at the enemy's weakest spot. It was the secret of his success on the battlefield. But his willpower and his mind were equally modeled on this notion. Single-mindedness of purpose, total concentration on the goal, and the use of these qualities against people less focused, people in a state of distraction. Such an error will find its mark every time and overwhelm the enemy. I mean, it's not actually collective guilt. It's collective power, like drawing in on itself in the truth of what power is. And welcome to the discussion. Like we are seeking a mix in such a manner that most of us are in the deep water right now. Casanova attributed his success in life to his ability to concentrate on a single goal and push at it until it yielded. It was his ability to give himself over completely to the women he desired that made him so intensely seductive. For the weeks or months that one of these women lived in his orbit, he thought of no one else. When he was imprisoned in the treacherous leads of the Doge Palace in Venice, a prison from which no one had ever escaped, he concentrated his mind on the single goal of escape day after day. A change of cells, which meant that months of digging had all been for naught did not discourage him. He persisted and eventually escaped. I have always believed, he later wrote, that when a man gets it into his head to do something, and when he exclusively occupies himself in that design, he must succeed. Whatever the difficulties, that man will become Grand Vizier or Pope. Uh, oh, absolutely. And I'm not citing philosophers. I am philosophizing myself. That's not a word. I'm well the fuck aware. But I'm giving my own interpretation on what's going on here, and I'm also interpreting bleh, words are fucking hard. What chat's putting forth, so like this is a great discussion in my opinion. IDF is dope. DARF is a learning algorithm, and we don't have to agree on that. We don't have to agree on everything. I don't necessarily agree that the IDF is dope. I may be a learning algorithm or maybe learning an algorithm. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, we definitely don't have to agree on everything. And I definitely don't have to like agree with what Israel's doing or condemn Palestine for being what they are. Fact of the matter is in my current positions, I don't know enough about any of that to actually have a really good fundamental opinion, except for like people who hurt each other are kind of pieces of shit and should stop, but that goes beyond levels of like physical offense and into all types of different regards. And that's a whole nother fucking. I don't agree that we don't have to agree. I agree 100%. Concentrate on a single goal, a single task, and beat it into submission. In the world of power, you will constantly need help from other people, usually those more powerful than you, because you usually don't ally yourself with people weaker than you. The fool flits from one person to another, believing that he will survive by spreading himself out. It is a corollary of the law of concentration. However, that much energy is saved and more power is attained by affixing yourself to a single appropriate source of power. Okay. Come back. So is better to just like suck off one tit than many? Seems reasonable. Like if you actually want to have power, you would concentrate yourself. If you want to survive when you are powerless and weak, you want to spread yourself as wide as you can so that you can't be destroyed in any one spot. So these are juxtaposed ideas in my mind. Because, like what's going on right now, like the people who are in power in our world just want to keep like drawing in and circling the wagons closer and closer to themselves, whereas the people who are without power want to spread themselves as far and wide as they can so they can reach the fight for power. It makes sense to me. It's utter chaos. The scientist Nikola Tesla ruined himself by believing that he somehow maintained his independence by not having to serve a single master. He even turned down J.P. Morgan, who offered him a rich contract. In the end, Tesla's independence meant that he could depend on no single patron, but was always having to toady up to a dozen of them. Later in his life, he realized his mistake. I mean, J.P. Morgan probably could have made Nikola Tesla more powerful than Thomas Edison in his time. He declined that offer, and J.P. Morgan ended up partnering with Edison, oddly enough. Oh, oof. All the Renaissance painters and writers wrestled with this problem, none more so than the 16th century writer Pietro Aretino. Through his life, Aretino suffered the indignities of having to please this prince and that. At last he had had enough, and decided to woo Charles V, promising the emperor the services of his powerful pen. He finally discovered the freedom that came from attachment to a single source of power. Michelangelo found this freedom with Pope Julius II, Galileo with the Medicis. In the end, the single patron appreciates your loyalty and becomes dependent on your services. In the long run, the master serves the servant. Finally, power itself always exists in concentrated forms. In any organization, it is inevitable for a small group to hold the strings. Does anybody know why that is? Does anybody know why in any organization a very small group will rise to the top while everybody else stays like in the under? I mean, I don't want to be the one to break this giant surprise to people, but the fact of the matter is, when it comes to matters of organization and business, most people are stupid. And most people are just contributors to other people's greatness. Like, this is the law of the alpha, like the predator versus the prey. Like, you're always going to find people that are more suited, more well gifted to being like, these are the people that are going to rise to the top. The cream rises to the top. It's not just basic human psychology, it's basic human biology. Like, there are always going to be people who are better at a thing than the next person behind them. And the more and more they test the people behind them, the more and more they rise to the top. And they always will. Like, that's inevitable because they're unconstrained. Their forces just go as they go. If they can find people like them to concentrate their forces, like people who have found the ability to control the public sphere right now, like they're gonna do it. Yeah, I mean you don't actually have to like reach too far to fight a conspiracy theory because it is in their best interest to conspire. Because finally, power itself always exists in concentrated forms. In any organization, it is inevitable for a small group to hold the strings, and often it is not those with the titles. In the game of power, only the fool flails about without fixing his target. You must find out who controls the operations, who is the real director behind the scenes, as Richelieu discovered at the beginning of his rise to the top of the French political scene during the early 17th century. It was not King Louis VIII or King Louis XIII who decided things. It was the king's mother. And so he attached himself to her and catapulted through the ranks of courtiers all the way to the top. It is enough to strike oil once. Your wealth and power are assured for a lifetime. Image: the arrow. You cannot hit two targets with one arrow. If your thoughts stray, you miss the enemy's heart, mind, and arrow must become one. Only with such concentration of mental and physical power can your arrow hit the target and pierce the heart. Mind and arrow must become one. There we go. That's the takeaway there. Oh, cheers. We're gonna do this. Authority. Prize intensity more than extensity. Perfection resides in quality, not quantity. Extent alone never rises above mediocrity, and it is the misfortune of men with wide general interests that while they would like to have their finger in every pie, they have one in none. Intensity gives eminence and rises to the heroic in matters sublime. Balthasar Gracian actually does nail it again, as I would claim for a billion days to come. Like, this is why I have to like cover Gracian's teachings and writings after the 48 Laws. I don't know. Marcus Aurelius needs to come up. Machiavelli needs to come up. Gracian needs to come up. Like, I got a whole lot of shit that I need to do, so I might need to start doing 4 of these a week just to get this shit over with. But at the same time, like, there's a whole lot to talk about here, and I'm not even sure I've said all that I need to say on all of the laws that I've covered so far. That said, Let's try to cover the reversal here. There are dangers in concentration, and moments when dispersion is the proper tactical move. And this usually tends to be where I said it is. Uh, if you have the monopoly on power, if you have the authority on strength, you want to concentrate your forces. If you are weak, if you are easily destroyed, you want to disperse yourself and give yourself the greatest chance to not be strung up in one spot. But I think this is where this is going to go. However, I can't actually speak on it yet because I haven't read it yet. So let's jump into the mix. Okay, so fighting the nationalists for control of China, Mao Zedong and the communists fought a protracted war on several fronts, using sabotage and ambush as their main weapons. Dispersal is often suitable for the weaker side, which is what I just fucking said, right? Like, you really don't want to be dispersed if you're the strong side. You want to crush your enemy totally everywhere they are if you have the power. But when you're the weak side, you definitely want to disperse. It is, in fact, a crucial principle of guerrilla warfare. Split up and strike them where we can. When fighting a stronger army, concentrating your forces only makes you an easier target. Okay. Better to dissolve into the scenery and frustrate your enemy with the elusiveness of your presence. So when you don't have the power, it is very easy to not appear to act like you do, because that just makes you a really easy target for the one who does. So just disperse, be as slim as you can and as deadly as you can without being easily tracked because you're so small. Tying yourself to a single source of power has one preeminent danger. If that person dies, leaves, or falls from grace, you suffer. This is what happened to Caesar Borgia, who derived his power from his father, Pope Alexander VI. It was the Pope who gave Caesar armies to fight with and wars to wage in his name. When he suddenly died, perhaps from poison, Caesar was as good as dead. He had made far too many enemies over the years and was now without his father's protection. In cases when you may need protection, then it is often wise to entwine yourself around several sources of power. Such a move would be especially prudent in periods of great tumult and violent change. So, in the chaos that is to come in our lifetime, it does behoove you to pay special attention to this and to not bind yourself to any one group lest you be destroyed within it, but rather to make friends everywhere you go and always make sure that your loyalties are to yourself and your concentrated forces, but at the same time, like you have good relations with everyone around you because you don't want to have a shitload of enemies when shit hits the fan. Like that's a really, really a good idea. The more patrons and masters you serve, the less risk you run if one of them falls from power. Such dispersion will even allow you to play one off against the other. Even if you concentrate on the single source of power, you must still practice caution and prepare for the day when your master or patron is no longer there to help you. Be ready for the time when you stand alone, which is why it actually, in the reversal case, serve you to serve many. Finally, being too single minded in purpose can make you an intolerable bore, especially in the arts. The Renaissance painter Paolo Uccello was so obsessed with perspective that his paintings looked lifeless and contrived, whereas Leonardo da Vinci interested himself in everything: architecture, painting, warfare, sculpture, mechanics. Diffusion was the source of his power, but such genius is rare, and the rest of us are better off erring on the side of intensity. And that, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, was the 23rd law of power: force concentration. And if you do have the strength to concentrate your forces, it behooves you to fucking do so. If you don't have the strength, spread yourself out. And I can give a good, like, I mean, myself, I'm not like a strong influence in my sphere, which is the internet. I have like 170 something subscribers to my channel. It behooves me to spread myself as wide as I can to try to pick up more support. Now, if I were somebody like a Mr. Beast, however, like I don't have anything to gain by appearing with other people. Everybody knows who the fuck I am. It behooves me to like concentrate my brand on supporting Mr. Beast and not promoting anybody else. So this the closest I can come to like having relevance here, where I would disperse myself in reversal of the law. But that's about all I have to say about it. And with that said, Wednesday, y'all, special announcement. I have the halfway point of the 48 Laws of Power, Law 20 fucking 4. Finally, play the perfect courtier coming up 2 days from now. We'll finally have made it halfway through this. I've got so much shit I want to cover now. Like, I'm almost irritated that I have to finish the 48 Laws of Power, but I do have to finish it. I promised I would do it. I'm going to do it. I got a whole bunch of other shit to talk about after that. I got a whole bunch of other ways I want to take the channel and all the things. Everybody who's watching in the catch up, everybody who's on the replay crew, let me know how you concentrate your forces. Let me know how you avoid being overpowered by spreading yourself all the way across the lane. Like, there's a whole hell of a lot of things to think about with Law 23. And I want to make sure that nobody misses anything. So if you have any questions, concerns in the aftermath of this stream, throw them down in my comment section. And for the rest of you, I will see all of you Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Law 24. We're going to play the perfect courtier. We're going to learn how to ass kiss, basically. That's what I think this means. Like, playing the perfect courtier means learning how to be a perfect dick butt kiss, but at the same time, also not being a butt suck. Let's go. See y'all Wednesday. Thank you all for coming. Frogget, Cat Ninja, Castro, Bijou, everybody on my squad who is concentrated within my forces. I will catch you all Wednesday. Good night, Heidi. Good night, chat. Darth Hideous. Out.